Believe it or not, housing discrimination still exists. A recent study concluded that there are more than 4 million incidences of fair housing discrimination annually. Much of the discrimination may not be intentional, but it is still discrimination. Even if it is not intentional, it is still considered illegal. Even unintentional discrimination can get you in a lot of trouble and can be extremely costly to you and to the people you unintentionally hurt. In this session, we will give you tools to help you avoid being discriminatory. You will learn what discrimination is, practices to help you avoid being discriminatory or even being perceived as being discriminatory, and emerging trends. Remember, in this session, we will only cover the basics of the Federal Fair Housing Act. Many states and local governments extend fair housing past the requirements of the federal government. It is important to understand that you are responsible for following the strictest laws that apply to your area. Now, let's get started. First, you need to be aware of the simple definition of discrimination. Discrimination occurs when you treat some people differently than you treat others. Discrimination is wrong, and it is illegal when it violates the fair housing laws. The Justice Department has recently reiterated that fighting illegal housing discrimination is a top priority of the Justice Department. Currently, the fair housing laws protect 7 classes. In 1968, the fair housing laws protected 4 classes. Race. Race not only applies to the actual race, but to the characteristics associated with certain races, such as hair color, facial features, or hair texture. Color. Color is the appearance of the skin. Religion. You cannot treat anyone differently because of religious beliefs, practices, or places of worship. National origin. National origin refers to ancestry, culture, last name, accent, or spoken language. In 1974, the federal fair housing law was updated. Gender was added as a protected class. Sexual harassment cases fall under gender protection. Courts have expanded the definition of sexual harassment to include behavior that occurs because of sex, rather than just being sexual in nature. In a recent press release, HUD stated, HUD's guidance on sexual harassment also explains that property owners and property managers have a duty to prevent or to stop sexual harassment committed by employees, agents, or contractors, and that they may be liable for acts committed by such persons. Did you catch that? Landlords may be liable for harassment committed by their employees, agents, or even their contractors. The Justice Department has filed several lawsuits for alleged sexual harassment as fair housing violations. A representative of the Justice Department was quoted as saying, "No woman should have to live in fear of sexual harassment in her home. Landlords should be on notice that the Justice Department steadfastly enforces the Fair Housing Act throughout the United States to vindicate this basic right." Another Justice Department representative said, "The Justice Department has zero tolerance for sexual harassment in housing and will vigorously prosecute landlords who engage in this type of discrimination." Apartment communities deal with fair housing issues every day. Let's take a look at a day in the life of our community manager, Chip Johnson, and leasing agent Mary Fowler at our fictional Park Plaza apartments. Since both are relatively new to their jobs, they'll need your help to make some key decisions. Ms. Taylor, a female resident in Building 700, has called the office to complain about the resident in 701.
Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor. How can I help you today?
Mr. Johnson, that man from apartment 701 has been pacing up and down the walkway past my apartment, and every time I pass him, he whistles at me. It really gives me the creeps. I've told him it's offensive and to stop it, but he just laughs. Yesterday, Sandy from 210 was with me, and he did the same thing to her. You must do something about this.
How would you handle this?